And it's time to hit social media for cash tags. For that, we'd like to welcome in Andy Swan, the co-founder of LikeFolio.com, and also Evelyn Baker with us as well, fast market contributor. And I kind of already said it, but we're going to be talking Canada Goose.
Yep, they do report earnings tomorrow, I believe, before the market opens. And it's a very appropriate name for us to talk about today because it's very, very cold here in Chicago. When I left my house this morning, it was, I think, 11 degrees, and I couldn't even look up what it felt like temperature in November.
What does that say for us?
I'm not happy about it, but moving on from the weather, Canada Goose, I mean, this company is known for their very expensive jackets, and you can only wear a jacket, like we said, in so many months of the year. So, Andy, I'm really interested in the data that you've pulled from LikeFolio and really whether or not this company is as seasonal as it sounds.
It's extraordinarily seasonal. We look at Canada Goose purchase intent mentions, which means people talking about buying one of these coats. And the cool thing about this company in terms of our data is that when people buy these coats, they tend to talk about it. It's a really clear data point for us. We've had a lot of success tracking this company in terms of predicting revenue. And you can see just how seasonal this is. It's an unbelievably seasonal company. This is purchase intent mentions on a 90-day moving average. You can see every winter you see a peak. From 2014 through 2018, we saw a really nice ramp up year over year that continued really nicely and was reflected in the stock price on a lagging basis afterwards. And then last year came along and that sharp increase in purchase intent mentions year over year kind of stalled out. And then you've seen the stock struggle since then. And so for us, it's all about the winter. We're just getting into that season right now. And, I think that this earnings call is going to be far more about what the company sees going into the next 4 or 5 months than it is about the revenues that they're going to report for the last 3.
Yeah, all you got to do really, Andy, is look at the earnings per share when they release earnings. That first quarter earnings report is their highest one of the year. And of course, the midsummer is their lowest one of the year. Well, this is one kind of gearing up for what should be their highest quarter around the Christmas season. But they have so many things going on with this name that my biggest red flag that I see is as bad as this market was leading up to December 24th, and as hard as this entire market got hit, Canada Goose included, the stock's actually lower now than the lows on December 24th, which as bad as this market was, the stock is lower than it was then. That worries me about this. Not that this isn't a good company. They make great coats and they're extremely popular, but their stock is actually not performing as well as some of the intents going in.
Building on that though, Andy, real quick here, kind of a follow-up and tying with that is, they are really kind of seen as high quality coats from my understanding. I'm sure the happiness score is pretty high as far as you guys are tracking, but isn't this a fairly limited market? Obviously it's going to be fairly regional in terms of areas that have cold weather, but also if it's such a high quality product, are people going back as returning customers, or is this kind of a one-time purchase and there really isn't a returning market?
Yeah, I think that's very possible. That the quality of the product actually reduces their ability to resell to the same customer over and over. I think that's probably valid. But we said the same thing about Lululemon for several years, and that company just continues to do very well. I don't know how many winter coats people need, especially at this price point. But I will say we are seeing some indications that the early part of the current quarter, not the one they're about to report, but of the current quarter, this more important kind of winter quarter, we are seeing some pretty significant higher highs in terms of year over year versus the same 4 weeks last year. And so early indications are that it's at least possible that Canada Goose comes out and says, something with some positive forward guidance. Not something I'm necessarily going to bet on in a big way, but I do think that possibility is there. And with the stock down under 40, it's at least compelling to take a look at.
Andy, the market is expecting EPS of 35 cents and revenue to come in at around $201.5 million for this coming quarter. But you're right, as far as, the jacket's sort of seen as a status symbol. It's the jacket, the AirPods, the Lululemon, like you said. It's all sort of these more luxury items that people are buying. But I have this tweet from Audrey who says, if I had $1 for every Canada Goose jacket I've seen today, I could actually afford a Canada Goose jacket. Every time we talk about this company on Cash Tags, there's always a tweet about the price. And I like this one because, yes, it says that it's expensive, but it also says that people are wearing them because she's seeing them, which I think speaks exactly to your point, Andy.
Yeah, I think first of all, we have to recognize a really high quality tweet when we see one, and that is a very high quality tweet. You know, and I think the other thing that, and what Audrey hits on here, is that this is a very noticeable brand. This is a brand that people recognize, they talk about. And so when you see these jackets out and about in Chicago on an 11-degree day, it does kind of inspire someone like Audrey, you know, to maybe want to get herself into the position to be able to afford that type of coat, or to save up for it, or to make it a gift request. So I think that the market may be bigger than we give credit to. It's a luxury item, but it's one that's actually very, very functional. And so the company's doing a great job with branding. That shows. The stock got hit last year because, you know, again, LikeFolio data showed that 2018's holiday season just wasn't up to snuff. And so now it's all about 2019. Can they resume that growth?
And of course, those holiday shopping days are fast approaching. Like we said, it's already November 11th. I can't believe it. But Andy, this next tweet, 12th, I really can't believe it. This next tweet from Tracy says, the exceptionally cold fall and early winter in the Midwest and East Coast should mean momentum heading into the holidays for Canada Goose. It reports on November 13th before market open, like we said. But Andy, like we were talking about, it's so cold here in Chicago. Does us freezing our butts off mean good things for Canada Goose?
Well, what could mean an early start to the season. I think Tracy's onto something here, and we're seeing it in our data. And so what's really important to me is to see the entire quarter as a whole. Is, you know, are these purchases just shifting earlier in the season because it's getting colder, or is Canada Goose really picking up traction and going to sell more coats throughout the quarter? That's yet to be seen. Early indications are pretty good. Holiday quarter is starting to form, but we need to see more data come in before we can make a substantial call. I think that probably there's more room on the upside for this stock than the downside. And so as you go into earnings, I think there may be opportunities to take a look at it in that direction, maybe take advantage of some of the premium on puts and things like that, because those can get expensive on a volatile stock like this.
All right, Andy, I think we can leave it there. I mean, well said here. It sounds like you guys are slightly bullish, cautiously, but more from an oversold standpoint, which you've talked about a lot, which you're less confident when that's the case, but certainly one that it has been beat up. But Andy, great stuff as always, and we'll see what happens tomorrow morning.
Cool, thanks, guys.
All righty, Evelyn, thanks to you as well.